AE911Truth, has examined a great deal of evidence available in the public record and has also concluded that the Twin Towers and the lesser-known World Trade Center Building 7 were destroyed by explosive controlled demolition. They have a petition that they've delivered to the Congress earlier this year. It has been signed by over 1,270 professionals, technical professionals, licensed and degreed architects and engineers, with well over 1,000, well as thousands of additional supporters. And as was pointed out by Richard, Congress has not responded, even to the most recent information, has not responded at all or shown any interest at all in doing anything about this. Those that will be, and Richard also pointed out that there was 3 groups that were being formed as we speak today. One is military officers, the other is scientists, and of course actors and supporters like myself, who are not technicians, but they have some sense of how the world works. The military officers, you've got Commander Ralph Kolstad and Colonel George Nels. The scientists are David Grissom, Lynn Margulis, and A.K. Doudney. The AE911Truth crossed the historic milestone of 100,000 people joining with their signature petitions on September 11, 2001. February, I don't see the date. February 19th is when they reached that threshold. On that day, they sent a petition to Congress, and of course, you've already heard that there was no response. To date, the AE911Truth is represented here today by 4 of its petition signers. These are gentlemen at the table. Richard Gage on my immediate left. Next is Tom Zambati, and then Tony. I'm sorry, I apologize. And the other gentleman is wait a second. Greg Roberts, who's took off for a moment here, and who's? Where did it? Steve. Thank you, Steve. The correction. We will now proceed with the statements and rebuttals forming the actual mock debate. Now, bear in mind, the people who hold to the government storyline were invited to join us today. Only one member said he would, and of course his schedule did not permit him to do that. And so we will now go forward with the slide presentation of the individuals and their statements, which you'll be able to see, and then you'll be able to see and hear the actual facts presented by AE911Truth. So the first one that we will start with is Mr. Meggs.
We need to introduce all of these. Can you read this? Just read them in order. I'll flash them for you.
Lead World Trade Center investigator for the National Institute of Standards and Technology, Shyam Sundar.
Next.
John Gross, co-project leader, WTC Investigations. Materials engineer, Sidanek Barzan, submitted a technical paper explaining the collapse 2 days after 9/11. 2 days after 9/11, he had it all figured out. One of the lead, Leslie Robertson, one of the lead engineers involved with WTC Twin Towers construction. Ronald Hamburger, structural engineer appointed by FEMA to perform the initial investigation for WTC collapse, later participated in the more detailed study by NIST. Gene Corley, structural engineer, OKC bombing investigator, lead investigator for FEMA WTC collapse investigation. Dave Thomas, president of Mexican for Science and Reason, debated AE911Truth on Coast to Coast AM. James Meggs, chief editor of Popular Mechanics, wrote Debunking 9/11 Myth, Why Conspiracy Theories Can't Stand Up to the Facts. Michael Shermer, founding publisher of Skeptical Magazine, wrote op-ed 9/11, Truthers Are a Pack of Lies, in Huffington Post.
Oops. Forget him.
Thomas Eger, MIT materials engineer, co-wrote Why Did the World Trade Center Collapse? Science, Engineering, and Speculation.
Can't hear you very well.
Van Romero, vice president of research and economic developments in New Mexico Tech, explosive expert lobbyist. Brent Blanchard, explosive experts, implosionworld.com, wrote a critical analysis of the collapse of WTC Towers 1, 2, and 7 from an explosives and conventional demolition industry viewpoint. Abdul Hassan Ashtanet Als, UC Berkeley professor of civil environment engineer, presented Learning from 9/11, Understanding the Collapse of the World Trade Center to House Science Committee. John Magnuson, chairman, CEO, WTC, design firm Skillings Ward, Magnuson Berkshire, Inc., board member, Structural Engineers, Institute of Board of Governors. Hyman Brown, vice president, Tishman Realty and Construction, Los Angeles, credited with various roles at WTC, but confirmed top people there don't remember him. The mock debate begins. James Meggs, appearance of CDs.
Often you'll hear conspiracy theories say, look at this, doesn't it look like a controlled demolition? Well, it turns out this is what buildings look like when they fall down.
Well, is that true? What do buildings look like when they fall down? Let's take a look at a few buildings that fell down and see if they look anything at all like these 3 World Trade Center skyscrapers. Here's some buildings that fell down. They fall over. Why? Because they're injured or damaged on the side, on one side or the other. It's an organic, asymmetrical, chaotic process that causes buildings to fall. In this case, the structural steel is not dismembered. The concrete is not pulverized. It's not a symmetrical pile. There's a building at the bottom of this pile. So, and maybe, Stephen, can you help us, structurally speaking, why do buildings fall this way instead of the way they might fall at the World Trade Center?
Well, the original design encompasses a structural system that's completely integrated with all the components. And that's why these buildings are still intact when they're down on the ground, is because all these structural systems tie them together and maintain the integrity of the building, even though the foundation failed or whatever to fall over. The difference with the World Trade Center building is that the complete dismemberment of all portions of the structure can't be explained by the failure of single members or lack of stability causing the building to fall over. So it's basically the total destruction of the buildings is what is inconsistent with the buildings that are just falling over from a gravitational collapse.
And by the way, Stephen is a 37-year structural engineer in Las Vegas. Tony Zambodi is a 37-year mechanical engineer in Pennsylvania.
About 30, actually.
30, I got it. And in New Jersey.
Right outside of Philadelphia.
And Greg Roberts is an author, one of the authors of the nanothermite, the active thermitic materials in the World Trade Center dust paper. He assisted Dr. Jones, Niels Harrod, and others to put their work to the test of scientific scrutiny. Well, let's take a look at what